So thank you guys for joining the RMPA, the Maryland Resource Parent Association. This will only be about an hour session. We thank you guys for attending. You will get a training credit for it. So we are going to go ahead and start and do just a little bit of housekeeping here. The session will be recorded. Please put your name and county in the chat box. I will ask you to log in now and at the end. That's how I'll know that you've attended the session. Your cameras are not required unless you are only you and your spouse registered under one email. We just need to see you both on camera for a little bit, and that way we can give credit to both of you. Feel free to ask questions in the middle as we're kind of going along. If you have them, you can use the raise hand function or the chat, or just unmute yourself and feel free to speak. All right, so the MRPA mission statement. I gotta love those dings when you're coming in. I don't want to read it all to you. We'll just kind of paraphrase, but MRPA believes that every child has the right to a safe, stable, permanent, and living home. And the MRPA is here to help our resource parents do that for these children. And we've kind of put an asterisk there. Resource parents are not just foster parents, they're kinship and adoptive parents as well. What does the MRPA do? So I have been a foster parent for 10 years, and I had no idea who or what the MRPA were till about 3 years ago. Best thing I did getting involved. So when I go out and meet a lot of people, they actually have no idea what MRPA even stands for or what we do. One of our biggest things is we support our local associations. In a few slides from now, you'll see I have all the jurisdictions listed, who's active, who's not. We have about 9 that are currently inactive, but the ones that are active, we try to support them, kind of facilitate a good relationship between the local departments and the associations. It's in everyone's benefit if both of them can work together, and that happens a lot. Sometimes it doesn't, so we try to facilitate that relationship. The MRPA does grants. A lot of associations like to do events outside of what a local department will do. So, for example, I'm in Calvert. Last year, I wanted to do a Tri-County event. So there was a grant application that I filled out for the MRPA. We were able to hold, it actually ended up being 4 counties that were invited. We rented out a skating ring for all the resource families. That included bring your bio kids, your spouse. Everyone had a great time. They went skating. There was food and arcade cards. And that's the type of stuff we want to facilitate, those types of events, because it only makes your local association stronger. It's so much better when resource parents know each other. And if you're in a really big county, that's not always really easy to do. So having these events and getting to know people, network, it's a great way to find respite. I've heard of a lot of associations, they don't want to do, some parents don't want to do respite because the department can find someone, but their kid doesn't know them. So this is it's a great way to meet people. We answer a lot of individual questions from foster parents and associations. I get a lot of emails during the day and phone calls. I make my cell phone available. I put it on all my emails. I'm always here to talk if anybody needs guidance or advice. And if I can't help, I'll find somebody that can. We work with the state on improving regulations. That means COMAR, we're able to kind of give our input and let them know some of our frustrations. I don't know about you guys, but one of the biggest COMAR regulations that has bothered me since I became a foster parent is the bunk bed issue. It's very hard if you want to support a sibling group. And not every, if there's a sibling group of 5, not everyone has, 6 extra bedrooms. So just a little sneak peek, that is changing. It hasn't officially changed yet, but it's coming down the line. So that's one of the things we were kind of able to help facilitate. And just a little note, as far as I know, well, the 35 other states I've talked to, I brought that up in a state meeting. And they all looked at me. They just thought that was the craziest thing. They don't have that anywhere else. So as far as I'm aware, Maryland is the only one that has that lovely bunk bed regulation. So hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully by the end of the year, that will be fixed. And that's something that the association helped with. We offer training for resource parents, like what we're doing right now. We try to, change it up. Yes, your department, they'll tell you where you can go for training, and that's great. But sometimes having, being able to be more interactive versus just sitting there watching a training for 2 hours, I kind of think having a back and forth is a little bit better. So we do different things. We have this month. A month or two ago, we had Hillary Lasky, who is the director of operations, and they're working on their 5-year plan for, fostering. And they wanted our input. So that was a great time for people to speak up and say, I would like to see this changed or this done. So she's taking all the information, not from other departments, but from actual resource parents. And that's a great thing to be able to do. We represent resource parents at a national level. There is the National Foster Parent Association. They have a conference once a year. I was able to attend last year, and it's great to network with other states to kind of, I was able to find out that we were the only state that had that bunk bed rule. So that made me want to push for it further. So it's a great way to network with people around the country. We collect resources for foster guardianship and adoption. If you go to our website, mrpa.org, there's a resource tab, and I couldn't even put them in the slideshow because there's just so many. It's alphabetical order. You slide down. You can do a search for what you're looking for. If you're not sure about certain rules or regulations, you'll find it in there. If you're looking for specific, therapies for kids, there's information in there. So there's just a plethora of info there. We also work with legislators regarding new bills. About a month or so ago, we were working on one about daycare and how that's paid out. Unfortunately, that kind of got tabled till next year, but we had a lot of input in how we wanted it worded, that type of thing. That's the last one that I particularly worked on. So, sorry, let me admit somebody else in here. Let me go to the next slide. A little bit about our organization. We have one staff member, that's me. We have a volunteer board. The board makes decisions how we spend our grant money. So when local associations apply for it, depending on what they're doing, and we want it to be something related and includes the whole family. That's kind of how we decide where that money goes. We decide on types of training, and we work along with CWA, which is the Child Welfare Academy. They offer a lot of great training, but a lot of times they reach out to us and ask us to facilitate training or what type of training are resource families asking for. So we can relay that information to them, and they can put together great training programs. We brainstorm ideas, how to improve situations. I'm going to go back to the bunk bed thing. I heard so many complaints about that. So I'm sure there's other, issues that other people have, but that's things that we do in our bi-monthly meetings. If there's big issues, we kind of figure out, okay, what do we need to do to get this done? Currently, we are looking to fill some positions in the MRPA. We have a president that she was one of our 2 vice presidents, and unfortunately she was not able to be here tonight. She stepped up for us. She is willing to stay on as a president, and we could actually have a president-elect. So the president-elect position we're looking to fill. We are looking to fill our secretary position pretty quick. We're looking for an assistant treasurer. Our current treasurer is Arnold Ebby. He was the previous executive director. So he just has a lot of knowledge about how the grants work with the state, that type of thing. So if someone was interested in being the treasurer, he would work with them. We're not just going to dump this on you, but we would work alongside with you. We're looking for a fundraising coordinator. We need to find ways for ourselves to apply for grants so that we can offer more money to our local associations. Let's see. The board members, a little bit about myself. My name is Stephanie Lang. I've been a foster parent for 10 years. I have had 11 children come through my home in those 10 years. And I know that it doesn't sound like a lot, but they were all sibling groups. The first was 3, and then 2, 2, and 2. And we have adopted 2 children. We have guardianship of 2 children, along with having 3 older children. So our age ranges from 8 to 31, along, and 3 grandchildren. Actually, my oldest granddaughter is older than my youngest child that we adopted. I'm the current president of the Calvert County Foster Parent Association. Before I found out about MRPA, I was one of those parents. I didn't know anybody else in my county. If I had to use respite, I didn't want to just drop my kids off somewhere the department told me. I wanted to meet the families, and I needed to vent to other foster parents. I don't know about you guys, but as much as I love my family and they're supportive of what we do, they haven't done it, so they don't quite understand. So I needed to vent or look for support from other foster parents. So I had asked our department, what can we do? And she said, well, we had an association years ago. You can start it up. So it took about 6 months. We got that going, and it has been great. We've been able to talk several, I say, foster parents off the ledge where they were very frustrated or wanted to give up, and we were able to help them out, get them in contact with the right people to talk to, and so to speak, talk them off the ledge. I am also a Pride facilitator in Calvert County. So that is the new training for foster parents in our county. I'm a member of MASB, which is the Maryland Association of Social Services Boards, and a member of the National Foster Parent Association. And honestly, there's too many other boards to kind of put up. I'm on state planning boards, event boards, legislative boards, and I'm also an adoptive parent with Paths for Families. So I help run a support group as well. And I'm sorry, I think Elizabeth, I saw your hand up. I apologize. It's hard to watch 2 screens when you're doing that. Did you still have a question, Elizabeth? No? Okay. As I said, our president is Andre Widener, and she's not able to be here tonight. Our vice president, Bill Blevins, is on. I didn't know, Bill, if you wanted to speak for a second or.
Yeah, I'll say hey. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Bill Blevins. Man, Stephanie's busy, ain't she? Uh, Stephanie does a great job. I was part of the hiring committee for her, bringing her on when Artie was promoted actually to the national level. She's busy. Yeah, we keep her busy, but she's doing a great job. As she said, right, the rest of the board is a volunteer board. I'm actually also the president of the Baltimore City Resource Parent Association. That happens a lot of times. Yep, Sam Mesa there, giving kudos. But also a member there, much like Stephanie, right? A couple years ago, when we were, we had some issues, reached out, just looking for help, right? Looking for help with some issues with the Department of Social Services. I'm sure nobody has experience with that. Having some issues that we wanted to address. Reached out to Arnie at the time, and got a phone call at like 9:30 at night from him, like 30 minutes after I put an email in the website. Called me and he said, "Hey, we really need help in Baltimore City. Right? We'd love to have you on the board here," which I did. But also the Baltimore City board needs help. So got that restarted. So you'll see a lot of that, right? And one of the biggest things and one of the most helpful things is the connections, right? Like Stephanie said, not knowing everything, right? But knowing maybe who to call, who to ask, where to go, where to network, and who to talk to for problems. The bunk bed thing is great. That's a dumb rule, right? We had one room, same floor. We have two bedrooms. Our biological children slept in one, and then we set the other one up for our fosters. They had a bunk bed in the room, but we couldn't put one across the hall, right? How stupid is that, right? So that's the kind of stuff, low hanging fruit, if we can do. I was a part of a couple bills that we tried to pass unsuccessfully, of course, or unfortunately. But man, we'll keep plugging away and trying to make the outcomes of the children better in care. So, Stephanie, I'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. Our interim treasurer is Arnold Ebby. He may join on a little after 7:30. He's actually traveling to a conference in DC, so hopefully he'll be on. Our board member at large is Dr. Joan Wharton. I don't believe she made it on tonight. And our PTSA board member is Sam Macer, and he's on. So Sam, if you could take a little bit of time and just kind of tell him what your position is within the MRPA.
Sure. And just to give you a little bit of background, I hope everybody can hear me. Oh, I got to see some thumbs up. Okay. It was about 20 years ago when the Department of Human Services at that time, instead of DHR, wanted to bring the foster parents together with the caseworkers because there seemed to be some conflict between the caseworkers and the foster parents, and they recognized that. So they brought us together in a conference for about 2 days. And the result of that conference was the creation of the Maryland Foster Parent Association, the Foster Parent Association. And later we changed the name to the Maryland Resource Parent Association to be more inclusive of kinship care and everybody like that. So we've been funded, and this is really important, funded by the SSA, Social Services Administration, every year since then. And we advocate for foster parents. That's what Stephanie does. That's what I do. Bill does the same thing. We're there for the foster parents across the state of Maryland. And of course, you guys do your local counties too. I decided to stay with the organization in and out because at the time, 20 years ago, I was a foster parent and we had two sibling sisters in a home. And we were the old school where we got them when they were in the second grade and they stayed with us until they graduated from the 12th grade. So they don't do that anymore, but that was the old school way of doing things. And it was an enjoyable experience. One day, my director called up and said, please, can you take teenagers? And I said, no way in the world am I taking a teenager, It's just not going to happen. But we talked. I ended up taking the teenagers, and it was really the best age group that my wife and I cared for. Teenagers just need a little guidance along the way to make it through high school and then transition out, and it did work very well. Steph, we can talk a little bit later, but that's me in a nutshell.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. All right. The jurisdictions we support. Here are the 24 jurisdictions. Some of them grouped together because they're a little bit smaller. The ones in red are inactive. So if you are here from one of those red counties and you are interested in a local, and I'm not going to make you sign up and be president, but I would like to speak to you. And maybe other foster parents that maybe have expressed interest. If you have a good group and you can work together, you can make as much of it as you want. In our county, when we started, it was, really slow. It's kind of just getting everything organized. It's not that much time. If you do an event, obviously, you got to put a little time in. But other than maybe a board meeting, once, or we actually do ours bi-monthly unless we have something big going on. It doesn't take a lot of time to do it, but just to have that support system. And then, you have the MRPA to back you up. MRPA, we do your taxes for you. You just supply us with your year's, finances, what you spent, what came in. We take care of that. You don't pay for it. So again, I urge you, if you're in one of these counties, please, and you have even just a little bit of interest, please let me know. I would love to help you get that going. A lot of times there's inactive associations because there's some disagreements between the local association and the local department. I'm here, the MRPA is here to help facilitate that relationship, kind of be the go-between if we need to. There's a particular county I'm working with right now that we're having some disagreements, but we're working on it together to try to get one of these counties up and running. And real quick, I just want to mention, in case you came on a little late, if you're just joined, please make sure you put your name and your county in the chat for me, okay? Other resources available to you. The National Foster Parent Association, and I'll probably send this slide out, so I'm not going to go through all the links. There is a national conference coming up June 21st through the 23rd. It does travel around to different states, but it happens for the second year in a row to be in Reston, Virginia. It is a great time. Like I said, I went last year for the first time. I met so many people from different states. You don't have to be, the president or a board member at your local association. It is open to all, any foster parent. And there is a fee to attend, but some counties will help offset some of that cost. So if that's something you're interested in, go to the website. You'll see the conference link. Click on that. Talk to your local department. They may have funds. We have one or two departments that are sending several of their foster parents. So, you can choose to drive back and forth, or it's actually in a beautiful hotel there. It's a great time. They have lots of events. So please take that, consider that. The Blue Ribbon Project, CWA, which is the Child Welfare Academy, Comfort Cases. If you have not heard of them, I believe they're out of Rockville. So our association, we just came across it when we were looking for stuff. Basically, Comfort Cases, they put together duffel bags for kids that are just coming into care. And it's usually filled with pajamas, some toiletries, depending on the age, maybe a stuffed animal, coloring books, that type of thing. Any foster parent can request that. The goal is to have the department or your local association hold them. Like for Calvert, we have a woman, luckily, who has a big basement. We have like 20 cases ready to go. A new child comes into care. The department reaches out to us. We set up to get that bag delivered to that child, because it's just really nice for a child that's coming into care to kind of immediately have their own stuff, which I guess is where they get Comfort Cases from. The Maryland Foster Parent Ombudsman is Becky Rice. If you have never spoken to her, or she's done lots of trainings, she is a great resource to reach out to. As a matter of fact, a lot of the families that reach out to me, I kind of take the info, get that to her. She's also a great go-between yourself and your local department. Let's see. I'm going to let Sam, I was hoping Arnie would be on and maybe he'll slide in, but Sam Macer was him and Arnie were the original members. And I'll be honest, I threw this slide in this morning and I tried to get as much information as I could from Arnie while he was traveling. So Sam, if you don't mind, these were just kind of the talking points. I'm hoping they're pretty much correct, but maybe you can kind of go over how the MRPA really got started.
Yeah, and I'll just briefly comment, because I did mention some of it when I introduced myself. The bottom line is that there are, not always, but frequently, like I said, there's conflict between maybe your caseworker or your agency and you as a foster parent. And like I said, the state recognized that there is a conflict. And when they brought us together, it was a tough meeting, because the foster parents had their view, and of course the caseworkers and some of the agencies were on the other side of the ledger. I put that sort of mildly, but they saw that we really needed to come together for the sake of the children. And like I said, we talked together for 2 days, and like I said, the reality is this association was created, and they put their money where their mouth is. Do you remember what the current budget is, Stephanie?
I
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I have two. I either have, I want to say 118 or 133. It's one of them.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, the bottom line is they fund us to help you guys. So the bottom line is that we would like for every local jurisdiction to have an association, and Stephanie's willing to go out and talk to your local jurisdiction, or I'll come out with Stephanie and we can talk about creating an association in your local jurisdiction. The bottom line is that the Maryland Resource Parent Association provides a voice for foster parents. And Stephanie, didn't we just have a recent survey about what foster parents needed or wanted
Uh,
recently?
yeah, they spent, I want to say it was almost a year because they sent out the
Yeah.
survey, I believe, twice, just
Okay.
getting feedback,
Yeah.
quotes. And we used that in a presentation. Actually, it was one of our first Tuesdays in February,
Okay.
I believe, and kind of presented that survey info.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the point is they want to hear from you. And the problem is that being busy like this, sometimes we can't give that feedback. But you can go through the Maryland Resource Parent Association. You can talk to Stephanie. You can talk to me or Bill, and we can provide the input from you guys to the higher ups at DHR. And they really want to hear you. They really want to hear you. Some of the things that we would like you guys to do, very briefly, is to let us know what kind of trainings you want. Perhaps the Child Welfare Academy does not have the driver training that you would need. So, hey, look, Maryland Resource Parent Association, why don't we create a particular training? The point is, you have a voice in all that goes on in terms of the Foster Parent Association. And Stephanie, I'm out. We're finished,
All
but
right.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Sam, for filling that in. I need to, someday we're going to have to talk and maybe put some of that information on our website. I think it's great to kind of know that history and share that with everybody.
Okay, I'll try to find the PowerPoint that we did for that. Okay.
Be great. We're getting close to the end. I know it went quick. Does anybody have any questions?